जगहों पे roads पे we have potholes, we have huge these manholes which are opened up. कहीं हमने ढक्कन इतना ऊपर लगाया है कि उसके ऊपर आप 6 इंच के even if you keep the snow plow 6 inches above the ground, it will still not make it difficult for the snow plow to move. कहीं पे हमारे जो the electricity poles at many other places they are in the middle of the road or almost at the so much into the road that it's impossible for any bigger vehicle to ply. So one thing which is very important is we have to ensure that we have to set standards and make sure that our roads, our lanes, they become snow clearance friendly. So that's something which we have to do actively, and this is the work which we have to do all the 10 months before the snow comes into our places. So that's one thing which I wanted to address upon. And now, as of now, we are working on a number of roads, both under the Srinagar Smart City project as well as some of the inner lanes which municipal corporations taking up. And this is one particular aspect that we wanted to take care of. So every time, whenever there's a relaying or macadamization, there is proper scraping done. The old layers are removed. In fact, the Residency Road, the MA Road, the two roads in the Battamalu side, one is which goes from Battamalu towards Kamarwari, other one is which goes from Battamalu towards the Mominabad side. All these roads, we have designed them more in line with something in Bangalore, they call them tender shore roads, within the IRC norms, within the guidelines. So these roads, we want them to become a benchmark for whatever road redevelopment happens later on in other parts of the city. So, what should be the width of the carriageway? How do we ensure this carriageway is uniform? At the same time, what should be the standards and specifications for a proper drain which is on the both sides? What should be the proper standard for a sewerage line? What should be the proper, how high should be our footpath? At many places our footpaths are almost 1.5 or 2 feet high. It's almost impossible to jump on or get off that footpath. How is that continuity maintained in that footpath? So similarly, where do we keep spaces for parking? Again, in winter, one of the biggest struggles for anybody who is doing the snow clearance is the cars around. What we do is we do the snow clearance. Our snow plows, they largely gather the snow on the two sides of the road, but at the same time, you have throughout the stretch there are lines of cars illogically parked that make it again difficult. In these roads, these 5 of the roads that we have taken up, we have again made sure that the parking space, whether it's on-road parking or the off-street parking, there's a proper standardized mechanism, proper standardized place maintained over there. So this is one thing that I wanted to talk about, that before, when we are talking about snow clearance, we have to prepare our roads and make them snow clearance friendly. And going forward, this is going to make it largely easier for us. Then second important part is what we call as equipment and machinery. हम लोग कितना भी सोचे, unless and until we have equipment, unless and until we have infrastructure in place, unless and until there is good quality infrastructure, good quality machinery with us, हम लोग कितना भी जोर लगा लें, we will not be able to do it. That goes without saying. So that's the benchmark. If I have machines only, then I can clear snow. Without machinery, I cannot. Otherwise, the normal practice that has been, in fact, till last year in the cities, in other cities part, we had some 9 or 10 JCBs. They would be used, and all the year these JCBs are used for clearing the garbage at our dump site, and they have become so all those blades have become so damaged that whenever they are used for clearing roads, they completely damage the road. So unless and until we have equipment, we will not be able to do anything much on that. So as far as the Srinagar city is concerned, we had detailed discussions on what kind of equipment would be required for the Srinagar city. The municipal corporation's broad domain is the inner lanes and the single lane roads which are in the city. It's a huge number, around I guess 7,000 odd lanes in totality, which is a huge number if we talk about that. So we had a number of options to discuss. There are a number of snow blowers which are used in, say, Montreal, in Ontario, in Norway, and many other places. There are other snow plows which are used. There are these self-propelled machines which are used in most of the places. And so we had this discussion: what should be the ideal equipment for us for the Srinagar city? And that's when we zeroed on something very basic and something very simple. It was 4x4 cabin-fitted tractors with snow plows. Now there's a logic to why we are doing that. In fact, in the first tranche, first phase, we got around 8 of these machines, and we're procuring another 35 of these machines. The aim is that by this year end, we'll have at least one proper full-fledged snow clearance machine in every ward of this university. So, the simple, two or three of the simple considerations why we did that. These vehicles, what we call these 4x4 tractors, let's call them snow cats. These 4x4 tractors with snow plows. Now what does it do? 4x4 tractor it is, its maneuverability is the best. No vehicle is as maneuverable as a tractor. We have seen it. It is very easy to operate. Our drivers can operate them easily. Number one. Number two, it's a cabin fitted one. So there's a heating equipment inside. So any driver who is inside the cabin, even if it's a sub-zero temperature, he'll be able to use it and drive it. Then we have the snow plows. Now the snow plows again designed in such a way that it can go through our smaller lanes and smaller roads. We don't have the capacity of depositing all the snow on one side of the road, so it cannot be a single side blade. It has to be a two-side blade so that it crosses through and at least separates the snow in two parts. Then one of the very important factor that we have again kept in mind, when we are talking about any of the equipment, whether it's a snow clearance equipment or any kind of machinery, the maintenance and continuous use of this equipment is extremely important. Now, if as a municipal corporation, we buy some, say, Unimog, some other kind of machinery, which is a self-propelled, standalone, dedicated machinery only for snow clearance, what happens? For example, this year we had snow for 5-10 days or 4-5 days. So at max, in any year, we'll not be using this machinery for more than 10 or 15 days or 20 days. Now what happens to this machinery for the rest of the year? It will lie in the yard, and just at the end of 1 year, all its equipment, all its parts would be in disarray, tires would have got completely damaged. And if we do any of the basic mathematics, this would be complete disuse. Now what does a tractor help us to do? So we get a 4x4 tractor, cabin